Okay, we're recording. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good evening and welcome to the Warden Parker podcast. Yes, we are back again.
Brian, bloody blessed.
Because I've grown a beard.
It's the beard and the shout.
Back, everybody.
All of my levels went red.
Yeah, sorry about that. I've just blown everyone's speakers in their eye. And you can see, because John's got a clock behind him, that it's 10:15 on what day is it? Tuesday. No, it's 9:15. Change your clock, John, you massive loser.
I know. This one I don't. It's really useful being an hour out, because then when I'm practicing, I think, oh my god, I've really got to get this done because I've got to go running at 4. But then I finish, go down to make my mum a cup of tea, and I've gained an hour.
It's fantastic.
Oh. Anyway, how are you?
I am very well, thank you very much. Yes, I've had a very busy day, doing lots of things. I had my niece's sleepover last night, and we did our interview with our special guest, and so my niece Minnie joined us on the yellow couch, which is over here. She's not here now, obviously. She's now gone home. She went home this morning, and this morning they made pumpkins and things, and they were very busy doing that. I had to take my car for an MOT, which it passed, so that's good, isn't it? That's because I haven't driven anywhere, John. I haven't been driving around the country doing gigs with you, and so it passed its MOT. Still cost an absolute fortune, but there you go. That's an oil change, and an oil filter costs lots of money these days. Anyway, so that was that, and then what else? Oh yeah, Jade's organising a Halloween trail in Hadnam, and so I helped her put up a giant plastic spider in a tree and various other Halloween trail things. So that was very exciting in the pouring rain. I was grumpy, to be honest.
You were probably more scary than the plastic spider in the tree. I'm guessing.
I was probably, yeah. I was going, there was a lot of expletives.
Halloween is just an Americanism, isn't it? I don't understand it at all.
It's about
I mean, it's essentially nonsense, isn't it? Like Christmas.
It's something to do with sending away evil spirits. It's the opposite of what people think it is. If you get
isn't that like November the 4th or something? The American election, isn't that?
We would have to have Hannah Sanders on the show, because she knows lots about this sort of thing. She'll be able to tell us all about the facts of what Halloween means.
Right. And I'm just going to say it's all nonsense.
Yeah,
it's just all commercialism. I walked into Sainsbury's the other day, and there's just rows of plastic nonsense. I'm thinking,
did you buy like a severed arm for £4?
No, I just cut someone's arm off in the shop there. You know, everyone's wearing masks, so yeah.
It's already scary, isn't it? Everyone's gone
very dark very quickly.
Yep, that's right. So yeah, I've been doing that, and yeah, that's what I've been doing today. It's been pretty busy, back and forth, doing that, doing things. And now I'm here with you. I did put a thing on Instagram earlier. I put a stupid picture of me, and I asked people if they wanted to ask us any questions on the show. So I'm just going to have a see if anyone does. And nobody wants to ask us any questions.
Are your parents on Instagram?
Yeah, well, sometimes. My dad's kind of stops. He watched The Social Dilemma, which I encouraged them to watch, and then my dad immediately deleted all of the social media he had. Oh no, Ian's just clapped. Thought he might have asked a question then. Yeah, so they're not on it as much because they've realised the errors in their ways, and that social media is a big part of doo-doo. Not so good for our mental health.
No, I'm totally off it. It's great.
Which means you can't do any work for me.
No. That's okay. No, and it's a bit awkward because you feel. I did a podcast with a friend of mine called Jimmy Davis, and we did it before lockdown, and it was a long nizzle-uppy kind of, post-mortem sort of thing, and there's a really good questions and a really good podcast. I waffled on for hours, and but it came out a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't do anything. I was like, do I, bend the rules? But no,
You didn't.
not. To be completely honest, I logged out of everything, and I think I unsaved my passwords. So
Got to remember how to get back in.
no, I'm not fussed. I've got far too much on.
Well, that's fine. You're not really missing anything, You're really not missing anything.
I miss. To be honest, that I was really into the sharing of the books thing, and that felt really cool. And I mean, I think our website's going to have that possibility.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this, but we've got grand ideas to have our own thing going on. So we'll talk about it in a bit, shall we?
Yeah.
But today, on this very podcast, we have a special guest interview, which we actually did last night. So we've already kind of given that away. We're not doing it live in the podcast. We thought we'd do it as a separate entity and then shove it in, as it were. So who is our special guest? Mr. John Parker, if no one knows already.
Live from the Lady Cave. It's Polly Paulusma. Yeah. and she calls her shed the Lady Cave, and I mean, I have to say, we both laughed a lot. She was very funny. She is what's the word I'm looking for? Erudite. She's just very good at talking. Very good.
She gave us a really good. If you don't know who she is, she'll tell you exactly where she's been and what she's been up to. And she's had a fascinating career as a musician, and she's done a lot of really interesting things. She's played with loads of amazing musicians. She's toured with Bob Dylan, Coldplay, to name just two. And yeah, it was a great interview. It was lovely to have her on. Thanks, Polly, for doing it. We really appreciate it. We're kind of learning how to do interviews and how this works the Warden Parker way. So it was great to have you on as our second guest.
Yeah, and one of the reasons we decided to have her on really was to talk about how to do music now. And she does Patreon, and she does, she's been doing this track a month, and she'll explain further. But it's just really, it's encouraging to see somebody kind of think outside the box and think, how do I make a living doing music now?
Yeah, absolutely. And it seemed like it was kind of serendipity for her. She already sort of had things in the process that were happening, and she'd started a Patreon, and then lockdown had happened, and she was kind of already set up for it. But it does pose the question, and it does bring your fans to you in a more direct way than, say, Facebook does. So I think she's absolutely onto a winner. It's a really clever concept. Should we play a song from Polly? Well, this is probably a perfect opportunity to do it. So, John, what are we going to play?
We're going to play Hallelujah, and it's off. Oh God, what's the name of the album? Leaves. I can't remember the name of the album. It was the first album I ever recorded with Polly, anyway.
Leaves of the Family Tree, John. That's the one.
Yeah,
Leaves of the Family Tree. Hallelujah.
Struggle to say the word leaves, to be honest. Leaves.
So here is Polly Paulusma with Hallelujah.
There's an angel that roosts up on our roof. Can you see him cooling down his comfort on our heads at night? Above his canopied wings I hear him singing. Can you hear him ringing out in echo questions? just gonna stay up there forever. Who he prays to, ruminating on a shiny rooftop. But I know some who would shoo away their feather-feathered guardian, rip the rafters, torch the table, tear the tiles off. This house is a womb, a warm cocoon, cradling us like jewels right at the heart of it, cupping us like water in a silver spoon, and all the beauty and truth that's scattered around its rooms, throb in perfect unison, radiates an escalating hallelujah. I had a hallelujah.
That is absolutely awesome. Her voice in that is incredible. And who's playing bass, John?
That was a very sexy man. Can't think of his name. A very sexy man. It was very nerve-wracking. That song is totally free of time. It's in quite a difficult key, and yeah, and I seem to remember us playing it together, considering it was free, and there was just nothing to follow. So there was a lot of like, oh, she did.
Hadn't recorded her part first.
Yeah.
Just you two together live. Wow.
Remember, and she has a real thing of recording albums where she'll just go, like her first record, like she says in her interview, she just recorded it in a shed in like for 80 quid, and just really quickly she does. I mean, me and Rasco, her last record, which is coming out next year, Pivot, was recorded in 2 days in Cambridge. Yeah, mad. And I think we recorded like 20 songs or something.
Incredible. That is incredible. Well, let's go for it. Let's have let's go to the interview with Polly. So here is our interview with Polly.
I am very, very pleased. A good friend of mine, a musical hero, actually, or heroine, depends. We've got Polly Paulusma here. Let's say hello.
Hello.
All socially distanced, sadly, otherwise we'd have a huge crowd. It'd be like TFI Friday back in the day. Ocean Colour playing in the background. All that thing. God, what happened to them? How are you, Polly?
I am very well, thank you. I
Yeah.
am, yeah, I'm in my little shed. I have my array of guitars, and so I'm always very happy in here. It's like my lady cave. I sneak down here to get away from family life, and it's just it's a lovely space, and people forget that I'm here. Like, it's great. Like, life goes on over there, and secretly I'm in here doing all kinds of crazy things, like talking to you guys.
What's
So
the
it works.
What's the longest period of time you've managed to spend in the shed without being interrupted? Have you slept there?
Yeah,
Oh God!
I have once or twice, but not alone. Mick's been down here with me sometimes
Okay.
on a hot summer's night, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm probably the less said about that, the better, to be honest.
Wow, this interview.
my best girlfriends do call it the love shack.
I think the lady cave is more suggestive.
God, we haven't even got 5 minutes.
Sorry. So
Man.
we all seem on good form. So I'm guessing you survived lockdown intact.
Yeah, I think there were good things and bad things about it. You know, there was definitely, I don't know, the quiet, the peace and quiet was quite lovely in some ways. It was hard for the kids. I think my kids have got a bit clobbered by all that time out of school. That was not fun for them.
Mm.
It was actually fine for, you know, they're teenagers. So it wasn't like we were having to hold hands and do lots of homeschooling or anything. We didn't have any of that. But I think they're meant to be with their mates at that age. They're 12 and 13, and they found it really hard. So yeah, swings and roundabouts, as they say. But both of Mick and Mick, my husband Mick, is a cartoonist and a filmmaker, but for money he does works for the university. He does data stuff for the uni here in Cambridge. So that job could be copied and pasted to our house.
Right.
Okay.
And I was busy doing my PhD through a lot of it, as well as doing my music. So both of those things, I don't know, we could kind of carry on uninterrupted. And I know that we're so lucky for that, because so many of my friends, and I'm sure lots of people, it's a completely different story. So we feel very lucky that we didn't have that stress.
And were you able to keep the kind of creative juices going? Were you able to write, practice, do those things?
I've been releasing a song a month through the whole period, and that was a project that had begun before lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to be honest, most of that material had been written beforehand.
Sure.
I haven't been able to get into that very calm, meditative space a lot. It's been a bit, but not most of the time. When I try to go there, it's been so frenetic, so kind of jangled and worried about things that it's just not. It's not that nice, calm, peaceful pond that I need to get to be able to write anything.
Yeah,
but I had a lot of back stuff, so I've been able to, like, the creativity has come in a different form. It's been grappling with technology and figuring out the puzzle of how to talk to people and maintain things, and so that's been quite fun. It's a different part of the brain, I think. But what about you guys? I mean, is it?
Yeah, very similar actually. I felt very, very much the same. I actually had at least a month off from playing the guitar, so I did just have a complete kind of shut off.
Yeah,
I just didn't feel like it, and it just seemed like an opportunity to kind of have a break. And now I'm starting to feel quite inspired again. It's starting to, the juices are starting to flow, if you like, and there's going to be some new music coming soon. I think I'm going to start.
Oh, that's really good. What do you think's changed? Why is it?
I suppose
what's been unleashed?
I'm a teacher, and I've just started going back to school, and things are starting to, so
Yeah,
kind of getting a little bit back to normal in a way. Not obviously not normal, but I think having that break and then kicking back into school and working out how this is now going to work, I feel a bit more secure in everything that's going on. And I've been able to get back into listening to music, get back into playing. And it's feel like I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah, it's just that human contact, isn't it? It's so important. I always used to say that I feel like songwriting's a bit like a sausage factory. Like, you get out what you put in, and if you put rubbish in, you get a rubbish bit of sausage out at the other end. So, like, but going to look at beautiful things, hear beautiful things, reading beautiful things, but also talking to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if nothing's going in that end, nothing's going to come out the other side,
No, that's true, and that's probably where I've been actually. I haven't been taking a lot of music, but the last couple of weeks I've been listening to loads of stuff, and me and John have been messaging each other about different records and things as we like do, and my creative juices are flowing again.
That's excellent. Thank God for that.
It's so different for non-writers like myself, because actually this period is not massively different from the period before, but I've been able to practice. So I've been getting my 3 hours in a day, and because it doesn't really matter what's coming in, because I'm just there practicing away. I'm soaring my bass and harp.
What else to do?
I guess in a way that's quite nice, and that you've just a bit of peace and quiet to actually concentrate on the discipline of the thing.
Yeah, and I think me and Clifford talked about it. What's really nice is that you can take bits of your technique apart, or things that you brush over because you're gigging all the time, and go, actually, come on, John, let's play in tune, and then just take your instrument to pieces and go, okay, and it doesn't matter because no one's going to hear you for.
You haven't had the workload of, you need to learn this album and that album, this track. You haven't had any of that, so you've had the chance to kind of just focus on technique.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Oh.
You better be fucking amazing.
Really.
I know I'm rubbish at the moment. I've got no technique left.
You're just learning vibrato again from scratch.
Oh, honestly, that's been a dark period. I'm really pleased that my mum has no idea what I do up here.
That's a lovely thing. During lockdown, I learned my vibrato. Oh.
She used to complain about the whale noises when she was, with us. She was like, "What? Stop making whale noises!"
Oh no, your whale noises are the best. bats hitting the window.
Pretty much. Right, moving on. So tell us a bit about yourself, Polly. Like, who are you? What have you done? That sort of thing.
Brief history, potted history. So my name is Polly Paulusma, which is a funny Dutch Canadian name that no one can pronounce. I wasn't born Polly Paulusma. This is my married name. I married incredibly young. I was a child bride. Fell in love with a Canadian dude in a pub. My parents were mortified. But we're still together, so something must have gone right. It was our 20-year wedding anniversary this year. But we got married just as I was starting out on this career, and so I thought that my married name sounded better, so that's the one I used. And I so what's the story? I went to Cambridge, I read English, I came out. I'd been writing songs since I was about 10, but thought that being a songwriter wasn't a very grown-up job, so sort of delayed choosing it as a career for about 5 years, and faffed about trying to do something a bit more grown up. Like, I worked at the BBC for a bit, tried to come back here to do a master's. All of it was rubbish. And then I suddenly realized what I was meant to be doing was what I had been doing all the time, and hadn't twigged that it was the thing I was supposed to be doing. So when I was about 25, I started the long, arduous journey of beginning everything, having been in a band and faffed about for a bit. And for about 3 years, dragged my guitar around London, up and down escalators, playing 3 or 4 gigs a week in all the different little folk clubs that used to be around London. And this was like in the year 2000, 2001. Nearly got signed in America. Had a terrible kind of nearly but not quite moment with Sony over there, with a guy that spotted me in a club on the Tottenham Court Road and flew me out to LA. It was all so exciting. And then I came back with my tail between my legs and thought, am I allowed to swear on this thing?
Yeah.
I thought, fuck that, I'm going to make my first record on my own. So I went down to my little shed, which was the first shed. The first lady cave was in London. And I sort of moved the flower pots aside and made my first album. I did it all on one of those really old Macs, like the early ones, a desktop, a sort of beige, on a cracked copy of Cubase, because I couldn't afford to buy the software. I recorded everything on one microphone, which I still have.
I'll do that now.
It's here. I recorded the whole album, apart from the drums and bass, which was done in one day. John knows my method for this because he's had to do it since. I did 1 day in a studio with the drums and bass, and then the rest of it was all recorded on this, which is an Audio Technica.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I did trumpets, I did strings, I did a dulcimer, I did all my vocals, all my guitars, everything on that. And I recorded it for £80. And just as I was nearing completion, I got a phone call from One Little Indian. They were called One Little Indian back then. They're now called One Little Independent, which are the record label that look after Bjork. And I was a bit bowled over. And I was absolutely thrilled that they were even entertaining the idea of doing anything with me. I'd never sent them anything. It had all been a demo that had wiggled through. I'd sent so many demos out to so many places and nobody had wanted to do anything. And they signed me that autumn. And literally, I think I finished the record and signed to them at the same week.
Wow.
But I thought they were going to say, well, that's a lovely demo, darling, but now we're going to record it for real. But they didn't. They said they really liked it. So that was the album that was released. So that was my first record, which is called Scissors in My Pocket, which I have here somewhere. Here it is. So that was the first one. Try and get the reflection away. Yeah. Done on a bloody shoestring on one microphone. I love it. And that came out, John, wasn't it around the same time that Nizlopi was charging around?
It was, yeah.
We must have nearly crossed paths so many times back then. That was 2004.
Yeah, so me and Cliff were talking about it. In fact, we played the same festival. I can never remember the name of the one that went bankrupt. No one got paid.
Why Fair? I was talking about that place. That was Mick like 2 days ago. That's why I can remember it. It was potentially the most amazing festival, wasn't it? Alberta Cross was playing. Wow. Arden was there. Like, it was an amazing setup. And then
Jonas the Police played that.
Probably.
Yeah, I think
right. It was an incredible lineup.
Yeah, it was mental. And we had this amazing tour manager who just looked around and went, She did a little mental arithmetic and went, I'm going to go and get our money now.
Yeah, I got paid that day. My manager did the same thing. So many people didn't get paid.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There was nobody there. There was, do you remember? There was like nobody. It was so weird. Anyway, so yeah, so that album came out. Did lots of touring on the back of that one. It was wonderful. Toured America twice. Toured Europe a few times. Did a lot of touring in the UK. Got to support Jamie Cullum, which was wonderful. Bob Dylan.
Yeah,
Did a secret gig with Coldplay in LA, which was hilarious. Decided, because it was the end of an American tour and I was knackered, that it would be really sensible to play one of my sort of favourite, most delicate, sweetest songs on a banjo in front of all these amazing people that could have changed my life and then didn't. So that was a bit of a shocker. And then, yeah, came back to England, did the second record. So that was Fingers and Thumbs. So in 2006, this one came out. And it really, no one liked it. And it didn't do very well.
And then
I got pregnant. And then I had to kind of just stop. So I'm going to try and get a copy of it. Where is it? No, there. I absolutely love it. But it was a proper nervous breakdown on CD and vinyl. On electric guitar. That's the one. Thank you very much. You've got it. Yeah, I loved making it, but it was much more difficult. I think people found it much more difficult to get into. And then I had babies. And so I was kind of grounded for a few years, which was okay. That was just the way it panned out. So we decided to make my husband's movie at that point. Right. And flipped. And then the baby started getting a bit bigger. And then I made this one. And this is the first record I did with John. And that was also the first one that I decided to set up my own little label and kind of do it on my own, because I just wanted to try it. I just wanted to be in control a bit more with the kids being so small.
Yeah, how did you meet John? I wanted to ask that, just for people who know John. What's the connection?
I can't remember. How did we meet John?
I don't know. I actually went to see you play.
Was it Harry?
Harry
Harris, did he put us in touch?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I was a fan, and I don't know, our paths just seemed to cross. I don't know, one day I was just standing in Rasko's living room looking at Polly Paulusma going, this is weird. And you kept saying, play more. Can you play more? And I was going, I'm on my best behaviour. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I can't remember though. It's a good question. It's funny, isn't it? These things sort of happen by accident half the time. Yeah, and then that's it really. So I just kept going since then. But I'm now back working with One Little Independent. I took the label to them, the little label that I set up, like a cat arriving with a dead mouse. You know how they just come and give you a gift and just leave it on the back door, but maybe a present you don't really want.
Okay.
I made this for you.
Brilliant description.
So I've kind of snuck back in, which has been really, I'm just so glad to be working with them again.
And is that working with them through the Patreon that you're doing as well, or is that
no? Patreon's just my own thing. That's just me trying to survive.
Right. Yeah. We're quite interested in this because me and John have been talking about doing a similar thing. So I really wanted to pick your brain about it and ask how it's been for you, and would you recommend it? Or
so I would 150% recommend it.
Okay.
But it has all these unexpected consequences, which is really like one of the reasons why I love it so much.
Right. Okay.
And it's funny, Kath has said the same sort of thing, Kath Williams, because she started up with Patreon quite recently as well. Yeah. So I set mine in motion, I think on January the 1st this year. So before all the lockdown and everything, it was premeditated more by the fact that my PhD was coming to an end. I've been funded for the last 4 years to be doing this research, which has been incredible. But it's it's money stream that's now gone. And trying to make money out of music, as we all know, is like trying to milk a stone, isn't it? I mean, it's just impossible. So it struck me as quite an interesting proposition. So I thought, well, if I start now, then by the time my PhD is finished, I might have got something established and have something to grow and build on. So that was my kind of incentive. And I also was about to tour with Annie Dresner. We did a tour in February, which was the first time I'd been on the road for quite a long time. So it was all kind of part of that as well. I thought if I'm touring and releasing, I was planning to be releasing a record this year, but obviously I've delayed that for obvious reasons. So it was part of a bigger plan, which has shapeshifted over as the year has progressed, but actually has become amazing because it's become a really important brick for me in the whole financial structure of my life.
Yeah.
It's not, I can't live on it yet by any means, but it's a contribution that is now significant, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And the people that have signed up just are really wonderful. They really give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
And because you've got that commitment from people, this is the unexpected bit. You feel there's such a positive impact. You've got people to work for.
Yeah.
So you want to make stuff for them. And so it makes you do stuff that you wouldn't necessarily do. Right. And I find that it's a really virtuous circle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's kind of, that's what we were saying to each other, is that we know we want to do certain things anyway. And so we thought this will kick us up the butt. And, you know, if we've got some people who really want it and they're contributing towards it, it'll force us to do some work and keep things going. And
it really does. It gives you great momentum.
Yeah, we like that.
And creative kind of just ups your determination a bit, which is really lovely. It's a lovely sort of positive input. And there's this other community that is growing that start talking to each other. So you're there's this lovely eco climate of just positive vibes, which is great. There's nothing, I haven't got a bad word to say about it.
Love it. So with Pivot, you were already, this is pre-Patreon, wasn't it? You were already.
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, I decided to do this project. That was related to, because I was both of them are kind of related to the PhD in a funny kind of way. I was doing this PhD and I was finding it quite hard to do the juggle of keeping the music going whilst concentrating on this quite intense academic project, which is not very creative brain sexy, really. I mean, research it's a kind of different part. It's the database. Ooh, lovely filing. Highlighter pens. Different colors of post-it notes. It's that kind of part of the brain, which is not the songwriting part of the brain. So I thought, what music can I can't release an album through this time of doing a PhD. It's just too intense. So I came up with this cunning idea of releasing an album, a song a month for 2 years. And I thought, well, that way I can string it out. I can have a project that runs alongside the PhD. It's never too taxing, because it's never a big tour or anything like a big release that has to be really serviced, but it'll stop me ossifying through this whole process, because I just didn't want to turn into the post-it note girl.
Yeah.
So it was finding this project that would kind of be compatible. So Pivot started off like that, and I did a Kickstarter project to fund that in 2018.
Okay.
And so the people who signed up to that, they bought the album in advance. Basically, they all paid a tenner, and then I said I'd send them this song a month for 2 years.
Right.
Wow. Which actually, it's quite a good deal, really, in hindsight. But you know, you're buying music you haven't heard. You're asking someone to give you a tenner for something that doesn't exist yet. So there's a group of people that subscribe to Pivot who are getting that song. But when I started Patreon up, I incentivized the Patreon people by saying, you too can jump into this club.
Yeah.
So the Patreon patrons get that song a month as well, but they get a whole load of other stuff too. They get a video a week from me, and they get a gig a month, like a streamed online gig a month.
Yeah,
at least.
I was looking at what you were offering. It's quite incredible, really. So if you signed up in January to Patreon, do you still get the early songs from Pivot that you might have missed?
I caught everybody up.
Right, amazing.
And anyone who joined Pivot as well. For a while I was running the two in tandem, and then I just got confused. So I just said, I'm just going to flip it to Patreon. The Patreon is, so I've got one patron who is paying $100 a month.
Wow.
But he's buying a house gig.
Yeah.
So after a year of that, I'll come and play. And actually that's a reasonable fee for going to someone's house and playing a gig for their mates. So it's not like it's outrageous. But that's massive. Like, that's a massive amount for me. That's like, wow, that stabilizes a load of shit in our house.
And it's better than getting it all in one go as well.
Yeah, I prefer it this way. They've just recently started offering annual memberships, and I have enabled it on my website on my page because I don't want someone who wants to do that not to be able to. But I actually prefer it coming in monthly. It makes such a difference.
Yeah.
And I think it would too. It would make a difference to the person subscribing as well, because if you're paying every month, it's at the front of your mind. It's at the forefront of your mind. You're going to log on more than if you pay once. I mean, I've subscribed to so many things and just never looked at them again.
Yeah.
You don't become part of it.
No,
Well,
exactly.
the patrons, they get emails whenever I do something. I think they get it because I'm a patron for Kath. We kind of did it for each other, so I know what she's doing and she knows what I do, which is actually quite sweet. I like that. So we interact with each other a lot, and we actually did a joint gig, which was awesome, on Zoom. About 3 weeks ago, we did it on Zoom, and we got all our patrons together, which is great. It was really nice. It was like a proper gig, like seeing people's faces, and it was just lovely.
So you've fully embraced, because me and you and Cliff as well are from the era where people bought CDs, and that funded touring. Sometimes it funded the string section or the horn section, or just fed the band, and that's really dropped away now, even pre-COVID. There isn't the money there from selling merch like there was, but you fully embraced. You've almost found another way of making it sustainable.
Trying. It's not sustainable yet.
No.
I mean, I'm not. You couldn't live on what I'm making a month at the moment. I have to teach. I'm a teacher too, Cliff. So I augment it with other things. But I dream of a day when it could be, a sustainable amount. And I think once touring, so I got the most new patrons when I could tour. So you pick them up on the road.
Yeah.
I do sometimes do big pushes with YouTube and stuff, and that can help as well. But it seems like it's touring that really makes a difference. So it's a way of selling merch on the road in a new way.
Yeah.
You're kind of selling future attention, I guess, rather than.
Yeah, and you're directly in contact with your fans all the time. They're there, and we put a post on Facebook. No one sees it, just. And
this is a very niche. This is the hardcore fans.
We want to reach directly to people and them not miss our posts and actually have a conversation.
Yeah.
Find it.
No, I'd say there's a good chunk of the patrons that reply every time I do something personally, and I replied. So it's work. It's work. It's not, like there's no such thing as a free lunch, obviously, but there shouldn't be. But I must say it's really positive work. I think when I first did it and signed up the page, I watched a few of those videos, sort of tutorial videos or guidance videos of how to do it well. And there was one woman who had set up her page and was doing well off of it. And she just said, one of the golden rule for me has been, I never offer anything as a kind of incentivizing thing, as a gift or a promise that I don't enjoy doing. Because I think you can get into a bit of a double bind if you start saying you're going to do all this stuff, but you actually hate. Like doing a video a week at the beginning was a big commitment for me because I didn't really know how to edit. It took me a few weeks to get into it, and initially I was thinking, oh God, have I overpromised here? But actually, as time's gone on, that's one of the bits I love the most.
Okay.
But that wouldn't be for everybody, Kath doesn't do that. She does different things, but everyone finds their own way of expressing themselves. But I think that was really good advice, to find things that you want to do anyway.
Absolutely.
To make it a pleasure.
Also,
otherwise you're just
doing something every month. You've got to think, when can I fit these things in? How does it fit around my day job and everything else? So you can't promise the earth and then
no, because then you just under deliver.
Yeah, exactly. Then they'll go, oh, can't do that. No.
Yeah. And also, if you're miserable, I think people feel it as well.
Yeah.
And
what we're trying to do is we're going to launch our kind of Patreon thing next year, but we're kind of back ending it at the moment. We're already recording tracks, getting ready for it. So, because
nice,
we all know what our lives are like, and it'd be awful to miss a deadline, but at least we'll have something, in the can, as it were.
Otherwise, if we've got to record a whole track every month and mix and master it, it's going to be a big workload every time. So if we can do a chunk,
get stuff in the bank, and then it's there, and you can sort of front load it.
And I think it'd be quite nice if you were like a fan of a band, when they open the Patreon thing, and there's like, oh my word, there's tons of book reviews, there's tons of music already available. Like that probably feels good, certainly if you like the band. So,
No, it sounds really good.
so
I think if you've got a lot of engaged fans, it's really a bit of a no-brainer. So get on it. Good luck to you guys.
yeah, absolutely. So Pivot, will that be released through One Little Independent, or?
I hope so. Yeah, that's the intention at the moment. I've got a folk record coming out next March, which John, you played on.
That's the Angela Carter Invisible Music one, isn't it?
That's right. It was meant to come out this spring, but we delayed because for, obvious reasons. So we're doing it next spring instead. And actually, the world may not be that different next spring, I'm starting to think. So John and I have been doing some experimenting, haven't we, John? Trying to figure out if we could do a Zoom tour. I know of quite a few folk clubs, like of the old traditional folk clubs, that have been doing Zoom sessions. And I've been trying to contact them. It's weird because I've never done traditional folk before. I'm finding it really hard to get gigs. So Cliff, I might be asking you about that actually at some point. But I've got the Cambridge Folk Club have been brilliant because I played for them once, but I've only recently made friends there. So, but I'm hoping we could try and do a little tour.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Chat about it. Definitely.
But I'll be doing that in the spring, and then hopefully the Pivot record will come out in my mind, it'll be the following year. I've already started talking about the artwork. I feel like Heathrow. It's like all these in the old days, all those planes lined up. Like, nice. It's nice. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But they seem to be receptive, so hopefully that will happen.
Yeah, I mean, your just a comment on the artwork. It is amazing. I was looking at the artwork for the first record, and the cover for the Angela Carter record is stunning. They look great on vinyl. Just pushing that.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, me and Cliff are vinyl junkies, I'm afraid.
Yeah, me too.
So we haven't got that long, actually. I guess there was something I wanted to ask about the writing process. Do you go through periods where it just doesn't flow, where you're just like, I've got nothing to say, and how long does that last, and how do you get out of that?
I think there are times like that, and the way I think about it is I think about myself as like a series of fields. And like farmers, if they go planting the same crop in the same field over and over again, you get like diseases and stuff. And also every now and again you just have to have a fallow time, and it's not nothing, it's something to be fallow. It's not a negative. And I think some people think of rest and just taking some time to bring, like the sausage thing we were talking about earlier, this idea of ingesting rather than constantly pumping out. Like, I think sometimes we just need some time to take things in. So I try not to beat myself up too much about writing output in a quantitative way. I'm more worried about the quality than the quantity.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like the COVID thing, I'm hoping that that's an upshot. We've lost all the gigs, and things are really hard for the creatives and the arts. But this is a great time, like you say. It could be a great time to just sit back and go, actually, I'm just going to take some time. I'm not touring. I'm not going to be over knackered. I could have preached to my family, or read some books, or go running, or whatever, and not have to worry about, God, I need to release an album and it's got to come out here, and then I'm touring here, and I've got to do everything that a record label used to do. Now you don't,
Yeah, there is that. I think, I don't know, I'm very stimulated by people always. So I've found the withdrawing business of COVID, the artificial isolation, a bit not very ingesting either, to be honest. It hasn't felt like a normal fallow period, which would still involve seeing people, being around people, looking at beautiful things, drifting around galleries. I've tried to go around some galleries on Zoom, and it's great, but it's not the same. That kind of thing. So I don't know. Yeah. But I think the more you panic about it, the worse it gets. So it's better just to go and look at some lovely things, go and sit in a field and stare at some flowers. And it often doesn't take very long once you just go. Let it go. I find also this book is really useful. I'm just going to stretch. I might. Hang on. This is one of my creative lifelines, I must say. I bang on about it all the time.
I'll write it down. The Artist's Way.
Yeah, Julia Cameron. It's a 12-week course in creativity.
Lucas bought me that book twice. I've never read it.
It's life-changing. So one of the tools that it bangs on about is called the morning pages. And this is the one I'm working through at the moment. But I've got a whole stack of old books. You just write. You wake up in the morning and you write a pile of crap into a book. And it's awful. It's mostly moaning.
Yeah, just what's in your head, just stuff.
Just bollocks.
Like a journal, because I journal every morning.
Okay, there we go. You're doing it already.
But I like to think
But what happens is, I find,
John.
is that you get... I'm trying to find a page where it's happened. I'll get about 2/3 of the way down the page, and suddenly I'll find that I've written a song without even realizing it. That I've gone into rhyme or rhythm or.
Okay, fascinating.
Well, we are running out of time, I'm afraid. So we've had a book recommendation. Do you have an album recommendation? Because the podcast is about like that sort of thing.
I didn't know that. Sufjan Stevens, Carrie and something. Can't remember the name. Whenever I put it on, it just makes me instantly cry. Like within seconds. It's almost like Carrie. Hang on, let me find it. Carrie and Lowell.
Carrie and Lowell. Is that?
Oh my god.
A new record or
no? Not that new. He probably put it out about 5 years ago.
Okay.
What's the
Honestly, it's up there with Finding Nemo. Like within seconds, I'm bawling.
I love it. Brilliant. Well, we've got less than a minute, I'm afraid.
Thank you for asking me to do this. It's really fun. Jeff, it's really nice to have a chat with you as well.
We'll put up all the links, Patreon, all that sort of stuff.
All your great work. And
thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks.
And hopefully see you in real life very soon, I hope.
That'd be nice.
All right. Take care, guys.
Oh, hello. Well, there we are. That was the fabulous Polly Paulusma. And that recommendation there, the Sufjan Stevens, we will put that in our playlist for this week's episode. The last playlist was a cracker. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, I'm sure we've got plenty more things to add to the playlist today. But yeah,
that Sufjan Stevens record is immense. A previous partner of mine was really into it, and at the time I was like, there's a chorus that goes, "We're all gonna die, we're all gonna die, we're all gonna die," and I was like, really? But I was listening to it actually before we recorded this podcast through my speakers. Oh my god, it's beautiful. It's just such a gorgeous record.
I've not heard of him. I've not heard of him, and I've no idea. So I will discover it this week. I'm looking forward to it. Just hearing the first bit sounds fabulous. No,
you'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. And actually, the way he records his voice on it reminds me of the way you record your voice in the studio.
Badly. I think for me, recording-wise, that is my weakest thing. That's the thing I struggle with the most. And it may not be necessarily just the recording, but the actual mixing of it, I don't enjoy. I really struggle to find. I haven't quite found the right sound, I don't think, yet for what we want to do. But I'll get there. It's not far away, but I think I tend to over process and then pull it back.
I think so. I think that's a confidence thing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to psychoanalyze you.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll lie on the yellow couch and I'll ask you about your father.
That's what that's for. So you can sit there and have a good talking to.
John, no.
Too many notes, John. Yeah, so that was great. Thanks so much, Polly, for that interview. It was fabulous. And we shall put all the links and things to Polly, her website, her Patreon, in the description so that you can go and find her and sign up, because it's well worth it. She's got tons of music on there already. So when you sign up, you'll have access to all of that. I think there was over 70 videos. I mean, it's a huge collection of music and art already there. So
I think her Patreon, I think the lower rung was like £4 a month or something. It's incredible. Yeah.
Absolutely. Really great. So where are we going now, John? There's a
Good
podcast.
question. Well, that links quite neatly or nicely into what you've been doing on the websites and what we've been talking about, with the sort of fan club or different access to Warden Parker, basically.
Yes, so as you can imagine, we've been talking about how our social media works and doesn't work, and how we want to proceed kind of externally from those places, really. And then, so we kind of were racking our brains about it, and we have come up with the concept over a curry. We actually met in person and had a curry, which was
There's beards. It was.
it was a magical thing. So over some poppadoms, we discussed the options, and obviously we can't really gig, and that's not really going to happen for a good while, I don't think. So instead, we know we want to make new music, and we we know we want to do all those things, and we want to share it, and we want to share new discoveries of music and books and all these things with our fans. So we thought what we could build is a our very own kind of virtual fan club on through our website. So rather than use Patreon, which we could do, I've already started developing our very own fan club on the website. So you can log in, and we're going to have our own forum where we can talk about all things that were in the podcast, but in more detail, do more, and we'll put our kind of like a Facebook wall will go into the website instead of it going on Facebook. It'll go there, and then if you're a member of the fan club, you'll see those feeds, or you'll actually get them rather than you missing it because you weren't online at 10 to 7. You know what I mean? We post something and 5 people see it instead of the 700 fans that don't see it.
Deeply frustrating, and also it helps us, hopefully one day become kind of sustainable as well, which is great.
Absolutely, yeah, that's obviously a big part of it. You don't make any money with online music, so, and we can't do any gigs. So if we can give something back to you guys for in an exchange, then everyone's a winner, and you actually get to enjoy what we can produce directly, and you can take part in it. So we want to do something like a song a month. We want to record it, mix it, produce it all ourselves, and we're going to put that out every month, and with artwork and lyrics and possibly a video. We haven't got to the tiny details yet, but we're talking about doing a music video to each one. And what else are we going to talk about? What else were we talking about doing? Live stream. I think we'll be able to do that as well. So you got your podcast anyway, and we're going to keep that out there. We're not going to make that exclusive. That'll go out, but we'll probably do a private live stream to the fan club members.
Yeah, and I think just the way the interviews go, like we found with Polly, half an hour it's just not long enough, really. When you've got someone really interesting, you're like, so there will probably be room for us to put up, the uncut versions of the podcasts or specials and things like that you can't get anywhere else. So
yeah, there'll be tons of extra footage and bits and pieces and demos, and we'll just put it all in there. I think we'll just put it out for you to enjoy, and tell us you love it or tell us you don't so much.
Tell us you don't love it. Just
don't bother.
Just don't sign up.
I love it, but do we would like to know. Obviously, it'd be very useful to know if you guys think this is a cool thing, and you'd be up for joining us and doing this with us. So we're talking about starting this in January, and having a monthly subscription. We're talking about doing something that's like £5, and so just £5 a month, which is probably just about a coffee in Starbucks, which you're probably not doing these days. And you'll get that access to us, and basically our social media is going to diminish somewhat. And as you'll probably say, well, earlier on, before COVID hit, we're quite active on social media, and we worked really hard at it, and it was doing quite well. And then after that, it kind of died down a bit. But we're well up for doing stuff, but we don't want to waste our time on Facebook, really. And I think that's the same for John. John would rather have a chat on a forum that's our own space,
yeah,
being sucked into a wall and end up flicking through.
Yeah, I don't want to be part of the problem.
And that's it, isn't it? Is that we can complain about it, but if we keep adding to it, we're only encouraging people to be on it. Which
Yeah, and this is a really good time for reset because there's only so many months that can go by with no gigs and no releases that musicians can keep throwing stuff out. I think you sent me that funny, was it a GIF? Like everything's on fire, the world is ending, and then there's a musician going, "Hey guys, I'm doing a live stream." Like,
that's
come on.
the apocalypse, and everyone's like, "I've got a new record."
And it's not a judgment thing because we've done it as well. But it is, you've got to be able to laugh at yourselves, and if you can't, then
I think everyone feels like that, but what do? You just got to carry on. Absolutely. So yeah, what we'll do, I think, is we'll have to put this on Facebook and share what we're going to do, and then hopefully we can have a conversation about it and see if you guys are up for it. And we really would like to know. So send us a personal message and tell us if you'd like, yes, please do this. We really would like to hear from you. And if you've got any ideas and you think, oh, I'd love to have this, then shout. Otherwise we don't know, and we might not think of it. So yeah, have you got anything else to add to that, John?
Nope, sounds pretty good to me. Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is it. The Warden Parker fan club. It's being born. The concept is here. I'm excited. I had an idea for a second tier. So like, I know different Patreons have different kind of levels, and I thought about we could do a second tier where obviously it's more money, but what you would gain from joining the second tier, we could do an actual vinyl. We could do a 12-inch. And so after the 12 months, all the songs that we've given you over the year could then go onto a 12-inch record, and we could do a beautiful thing with a booklet and everything, and then give that to everyone who was on that. I think that'd be awesome.
I'm like a heavyweight.
Mastered
at Abbey Road.
Mastered at Abbey Road. And we could even have your name on the sleeve, on the artwork as well. I think that'd be really awesome.
That reminds me of that book company called Unbound, where you can basically, it's a bit like Kickstarter, so you can, they propose books, authors propose books, and you just go, great, I'll have that, and you buy it early, and your name goes in the book. And
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we could totally do that. It'd be fantastic. So sign up and your name can be on the record. That'd be awesome.
That's good.
Love it. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about what we've been listening to and reading over the last couple of weeks. John Parker, what reading?
Oh well, look at this as a Stuart Turton.
Whoa, that is a massive book.
Yeah. The Devil and the Dark Water. His first book, The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, it was a kind of, I was reading it and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. This is like a murder mystery, Agatha Christie-esque. And then it ended and you went, oh my God, what the hell? And I read it again immediately afterwards over 2 days because it was just incredible. It was like, oh, that is such an incredible idea. And this is similar. I started this at the beginning of the week and basically had rationed myself to 100 pages a day. Otherwise, I wouldn't get any sleep.
I thought you were going to say, and I finished it. I was like, what?
No, but I finished it last night after our Polly interview. I was like, "Come on, I gotta read."
Amazing.
Yeah, so that is an incredible book. And then I'm now reading a book. So I'm studying psychology at the moment. A book by Daniel Lieberman called Exercised. And
Ooh.
it's about it is basically about the myths of physical exercises and are we supposed to be kind of couch potatoes? Are we supposed to run ultra marathons? All that sort of stuff.
Oh, that sounds great. I'd love that. That sounds like a really good book.
It's very cool. What about yourself? What have you been perusing?
Actually, I know I've said before that I have struggled with reading fiction at the moment, but I've actually just been reading well, historical fiction. I've been reading a Robert Harris book called V2, and I'm loving it. It's great. It's just it's a light read, and it's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, it's a good. It's like Second World War. It's about the V2 bombs, and no, it's a good little read. So I'm enjoying that when I get the chance. I often end up going to bed and I'm just too knackered, but I try and fit in. I am trying harder, so I'm halfway through, nearly there. I've just ordered the Artist's Way, the book that Polly suggested. I've ordered that because I hadn't heard of that, so I should be reading that this week.
Mm. It's good. It's like a workbook. I mean, I feel really bad because, like I think I said in the podcast, Luke, my best friend from Nisloppy, he's bought me 2 copies. I think it's a big hint of like read the book. and and I'm terrible. I'm really yeah. I'm just really bad. I've got an awful lot of books to read, and then my course is very book intensive as well, so it takes up a lot of time.
Takes a lot of time. It does. Oh well, that's good. And music. I'll go first. Shall I got a new record. I already told people about it online, but I got this is a re. This came out. This is a reissue that came out this year. Paul McCartney's Flaming Pie, and it's probably my favorite Paul McCartney album, and it's awesome. It's really fantastic record, and Paul McCartney basically pretty much plays everything. And this version, this vinyl, is beautiful. It's really thick card, and it's like got this sort of material to it. I just love it. I can just stroke Paul McCartney's face and go, "Oh, that's very, very nice, Paul.
Like
Well done." And inside there is, this you'll like this, John. As a vinyl fan, there's this little bit of cardboard here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see. So, yeah, and it says this record was pressed from a master cut using a precision technique known as a half-speed mastering, and it goes on and on, and it pressed. The card is pressed. Paul McCartney half-speed mastering at Abbey Road Studios. Can't
very nice.
Yeah, very nice. And then to go on, I'm gonna get more of this out. There's a booklet as well to go with it. If you don't know this album, you should get it. It's absolutely fab. Where's the book?
There's a booklet's gone.
I've been going on about booklets for about 2 years because, as we know, people buy CDs less and less, and so I've been saying when we do a release, we should do a book. And I was going to do a booklet for our first album, just as a bonus, really. And I know Nine Barrow do books with those guys, who John plays with, and I just think it's a fabulous thing. So here is the book that goes with the vinyl, and inside it's beautifully laid out, all the lyrics and a little write-up about the recording and the making of the song, and it's just fab. And it's lovely to sit and play the record and read the notes in this lovely book. And so if people aren't buying their music, you could sell them the book, maybe, and you buy the book, and it's a lovely thing to have. And then you can play your music on Spotify and have the book. Maybe.
I think Nine Barrow did do that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, you can buy the book, or they gave away the PDF, I think.
Right. They are very clever. They are like, they should teach. John especially should teach like music business seminars, I think.
So yeah, that's Flaming Pie. That's what I've been listening to, and it's given me a bit of inspiration. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I had a quick listen to it. Where you mentioned it yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, new music from 1997," and yeah, it's great. It's great. It's got Steve Winwood on it and everything. It's great.
Yeah, Ringo plays drums on one track, but Paul plays the drums on all of it. That's pretty good.
Mm.
And he's got a new album coming out, as I've
That
discovered. Is it out? I thought it was not out yet.
it came up on my iTunes.
I don't think it's out yet. I think it's on pre-order, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Well, there might be a track or two on iTunes. I don't know, but the vinyl's not out till.
No. I mean, he's only just finished recording it.
Apparently, he's done this record is all on his own. So he's played everything, wrote everything, produced everything, everything.
But it's interesting that he's found this lockdown period really creative. So he went in and just thought, I just want to record some songs, and it felt very liberating for him. Whereas I think a lot of people have gone, oh my god.
Well, his life might be a bit different, I guess.
Yeah. I think he's doing. He's his PRS checks must be
Tidy.
Imagine getting one of them by mistake.
How much I but his life must be pretty much. He must live in lockdown permanently, though. In all seriousness, I mean, like he can't really go down the street without getting attention, can he?
Really?
Maybe he probably can in his community, maybe, but
I don't know. Isn't it a different? I mean, when the Beatles, obviously.
Well, now that he's older, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, and
I can't imagine Paul popping down the shop for some milk.
See, I can. I think I can. I can't imagine Kanye West and with his wife, whatever her name is. Can't imagine they drink milk. To be honest, I don't drink milk, so.
Well, we've gone somewhere else. John, what music have you been listening to?
Well, new music. Black Thought, who's the rapper of The Roots, he's got an album called Streams of Thought, and that's just come out. My good friend Jake Morley sent me his just hot off the press masters of his record, which is just lush sounding. He recorded it in a studio up in Scotland where Maz O'Connor recorded her record, and it's just so beautiful. I've actually been having I watched the Rush documentary on Netflix. So I've been living in a world of drum solos and strange time signatures.
Oh, that's incredible. So,
yeah.
Okay, well, it's going in. You've said it now.
Oh God, I have to be really careful. So, so my vinyl.
Yeah, okay.
The Goat Rodeo Sessions.
Yo-Yo Ma, fantastic.
And it's Yo-Yo Ma, Edgar Meyer, Stuart Duncan, and Chris Thiele, and it's just awesome. I mean, it's quite beautiful as well. It doesn't have a booklet, but it's a double-weighted heavy thing. It's got songs on it as well, but I mean, it's got obviously just some of the best crossover classical bluegrass double bass you'll ever hear in your life. Edgar Meyer is just a genius, and it's just with the bow especially. He just makes it sing. It's just gorgeous.
There's another album with Yo-Yo Ma in with James Taylor, and I can't for the life of me remember what it is now, but that is a great record too.
I've got it. They made two, and Edgar Meyer plays double bass on them.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm gonna find it. I'll put it on the thing.
Yeah. Appalachian Waltz.
Yeah, that's it.
Appalachian Journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful records. Yeah. So I've been trying to be good and not buy albums, but I am going to have to buy the Sufjan Stevens album on vinyl.
Yeah, you've been good and I've been bad. So before the podcast, I started watching the Bruce Springsteen movie on Apple, and I ordered the vinyl. Jade doesn't know yet. She does now. Yes, but it sounds really good. The video's great. The movie's great. It's a bit of super cheese. You know, Bruce is really putting the cheese on, but it's really good. It's beautifully shot. Absolutely. You know, it's one of those videos where you're like, oh, I'd love to have a video like that. That's awesome. And he's with the E Street Band, and it's fab, and the music sounds great. You know.
Yeah, he's the man. Written some incredible songs. I mean, Nebraska, very old album of his. I think recorded in a shed. There is definitely a theme here, but I think Nebraska's recorded in a shed, and it's just him and an acoustic guitar and a tape recorder.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the box set. You keep talking.
Okay, the box set. He's got a box set. Yeah, so Nebraska, I think it's just beautiful. And then he did write Philadelphia, which is probably one of the best songs ever written. And Cliff seems to be having some sort of breakdown.
Very difficult.
What have you got there?
I have got here, this is the Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band live 1975 to 1985 box set.
Word.
Look at this. Hey, guess what? Comes with a booklet.
Is that a new version of it?
This is the original.
Original, I thought so.
Oh, man. And it's a really. I haven't even played it. Look at that.
Oh wow,
it's cool, isn't it? God. So nice.
Did you listen to the Bruce Springsteen album Devils and Dust?
No, I don't think I have.
That's a really beautiful record. It was just before he did the whole kind of bluegrass revival thing.
Oh, this is the last one. Born to Run, No Surrender. Yeah, look at that.
It's like one of our gigs. Aiming for a cab home.
Yeah, well, it would be if it wasn't if we weren't in lockdown. That's what we'd be doing, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. COVID stopping us playing to our thousands of fans.
To our Wembley audience. And come out. This was made in England, just for your interest. And does it say 1986? This came out. I was 5.
You did not buy that when you were 5, Cliff.
No, I just got given it. Actually, I didn't even pay for it. I got given it from Jade's. My sister's new boyfriend, Jamie. So thanks, Jamie.
Oh, really? Wow. He knows.
His parents were getting rid of their records.
He definitely knows how to butter you up. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. A huge load of Bob Dylan as well, and that, and a few, and some David Bowie, and yeah, a few really good classics. Yeah. So thanks, mate. I know.
My sister's boyfriends have not done that for me.
Well, you need to have a word.
Oh, bloody well. I said Cliff's.
I need to get a record player in here, and then we could just put a record on. The copyright problems, wouldn't we? The copyright would come down on us. So
yes, it would.
Don't own Bruce Springsteen.
Actually, no, I don't.
So
never play live.